Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another edition of the CCA California podcast. Good to be with you another week. Tony, how are you?
Hello, Chris. I feel like I haven't seen you in about 2 years.
It's been that long.
Yes, because we probably are on the phone for about 2 hours every day talking logistics, and this week, I missed it.
I know, me too.
We didn't get that this week.
I know, I'm sorry. I was in Texas for some national meetings, but I'm back. I'm good to go.
Thank
Hopefully.
God.
Thanks for taking the comm for me. I appreciate it.
Hey, anytime. Anytime.
Well, Tony, we've got a special guest today, and I'll let you take the reins here.
Yes, we do. We have Captain Aliyar from the Polaris Supreme here with us today. Hello, Aliyar.
Hello. Hey, Tony. Hey, Chris.
How's it going, man?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good to be back. And yeah, it's a really exciting time right now to be out fishing with you.
Yeah, it's been good fishing since we started in April. Started off a little slow, but overall good sign of fish and a lot of nice fish, a lot of 100-pound fish this year. So that's a good thing.
A lot of volume, a lot of quality.
Less than we've seen. I'll be very honest with you. Less than we've seen the last few years, but still a good amount of fish where we're able to make a catch.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. How are trips been going on? You've been pretty much sold out for a while now, right?
Yeah, so mostly 2 and 3 day trips. With this fishing, we're not really doing day-and-a-half trips anymore. Leaving at nighttime really doesn't help us much. You know, a lot of the fish we're catching right now is at nighttime. So if we leave the dock at 5 p.m., we're not getting there till 2 o'clock in the morning. That's just not, you're not getting in enough time. So everything's pretty much a morning departure. We leave at 10 a.m. and we usually get there around 4 to 7 p.m. depending on where we're fishing. So that's really the best trip for what we're doing right now, especially with all this nighttime fishing going. I think since we started fishing in March, we've caught about 10 daytime fish. It's
kind of like the reverse day and a half, the reverse 2 days or whatnot, and that's kind of how it runs. You just leave in the morning as opposed to leaving at night.
Exactly, yep.
Yeah. What's been the most effective technique or what's the jig of the year, I should say?
So that's a good question. I don't think this year there is a special jig. It just depends on what kind of weather we're fishing in. That's what I think is really important, where people need to understand, because you can't just tie one jig on and leave that jig on your rod for the whole trip. I don't go fishing and just use one lure. I'm sure you don't go fishing. So anything between a 150-gram jig to a 350-gram jig, depending on how fast the boat's drifting and how deep the fish are.
Interesting. So no jig this year. It's just basically just putting in some time.
Getting your lure to where the fish are, keeping the angle out of your line, all the normal stuff. Just doing that has been the most successful.
Is there such thing as having too heavy?
Oh yeah.
Of a jig on?
Yeah, that's what we see a lot. Just because you're fishing a 400-gram jig doesn't mean you're going to catch a giant tuna. So a lot of times you want to get away with the smallest lure you can. So a lot of times right now we're stopping on schools. The fish gets really excited. It gets shallow. You know, it gets 120 feet to 200 feet. And if you're fishing a 400-gram eddy bomb, you're just going to blow right past the fish. So it's we're always fishing the smallest lure we can get away with.
So basically, I mean, guys like yourself that are really good, you're basically telling your customers, it's like, okay, guys, it's X amount of feet deep or whatnot. And does it seem like customers kind of can gauge really well as to like how far their lures are actually going down, or are they still kind of clueless a little bit?
They're going to have trouble if we're drifting real fast. Like the other night we were fishing in 20 knots of wind. I mean, it's going to be hard to get your lure down there, because what's going on is you have so much angle in your line. So when you're drifting 20 knots, you can't drop your lure down, say, to 400 feet and wind up halfway and free spool it again. By the time you wind up halfway, your line's already way, way out to Hawaii. You know, you got to wind up and start over. So it's a lot of work when it's windy like that. That's what people don't understand. They try to just wind it up, like pretty much yo-yo is what they're trying to do. You can't do that when you're drifting at a knot and a half. You know what I mean? You're angled way, way out. So I think it's just important to listen to what the guy driving the boat's saying too. You know, if he says, "Okay, guys, drop your lures. You're blowing past the fish. Drop down to a lighter lure." You need to do that, because he's watching the fish. Like when I take the boat out of gear, I can tell within 10 seconds if that school's going to bite or not, real quick. You know what I mean? So I think it's really important to listen to the guy driving the boat and the crew too.
Is there a lot of I guess kind of a weird question. Is there a lot of pushback from at least the older guys to where it's like, hey, I'm not used to this type of fishing. You know, let's give it a chance. Like, let's give the school a chance or whatnot. But even though with you who sees all this every single day,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you can tell between 10 seconds or so whether it's going to be productive or not.
Like the passengers?
Yeah, like basically it's almost like a different style of fishing over, say 10 years ago or 5 years ago even.
Yeah, this is just more aggressive. It's more fast paced. For whatever reason, when the fish gets up here, like into U.S. waters or even close Mexico, it's hard for us to catch them in the daytime. When we're fishing above Cedros and stuff, we'll see that 100-pound bluefin. We'll catch it in the daytime down there. You know what I mean? Or the ridge, like they're doing right now. They're catching bluefin down there. It's different. So, I mean, you can never let a passenger drive the boat. That's the one thing I learned very early on in my career. Like they have, I'm fishing 250, 300 days out of the year. This guy's fishing, even if he fishes 50 times a year, like I'm fishing more in 1 year than he fishes in 10 years, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't, they just don't know what they're talking about. To be nice about it, they have no idea,
With the Polaris Supreme being a very, it's almost like it's very much long range style to where you've got so many different variety of trips in your schedule from, these 3-day trips right now in the spring, but I'm sure you probably transition to 6, 7, 8-day trips later on this year.
Yeah, we do it all. I'd say the bulk of our fishing is, 3 to 5 day trips, but we do some 8-day trips, 10-day trips. It's nice to mix it up. It's fun fishing down there. It's nice to sleep at night when we fish down there. I'm sleeping at night. We're getting rest. The crew's getting rest. It's the fish act a lot nicer down there, compared to up here. So
Yeah.
it's a nice change.
Yeah. What's your favorite kind of trip out of all of them?
3-day trip. Yeah, it's way more rewarding.
Yeah.
That bluefin fishing it's much more rewarding than that to me. Like everyone's different, but it's a lot more pressure. There's a lot of good fishermen in the local fleet, so it's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man. What your background is and how you became the owner of the Supreme.
Well, I grew up in Dana Point, so not very far from here. I started working for the Hansen family. Since I was pretty young, 12 years old, I worked for Mike Hansen.
Seems like everyone's worked for the Hansens at some point.
Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of kids that have boats at Seaforth now have, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I worked for them from 12 to, I think, 18 years old. And when I was 18, I went down and worked on the Qualifier. I don't know if you remember that boat, the Qualifier 105. So I worked on there for a few years. And then I left that. I went back to Dana Point, and I actually started driving the Sum Fun, the Clementi, the Real Fun, the San Mateo. So I pretty much ran all the boats for the Hansen family for a few years. And it was good because when I did that, it was good fishing. It was in 2015, 16. So we were fishing tuna right outside the harbor mouth. So it was pretty cool. We were catching wahoo.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. So it was cool. And then I left there. I went and ran a light boat where I fished from anywhere from Catalina up to Half Moon Bay for squid. So that was a good experience.
Where was that out of?
So the owner of that boat owns Channel Island Sport Fishing, so the boat would stay there, but we pretty much fished wherever the squid was, so all over the place. It was a hard life, but it was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And then I came back down. I ran the Pacifico with Andrew for a couple years. I actually owned a third of that boat. And then I wanted something bigger. We wanted to bring a 3-day boat to Seaforth. Seaforth didn't have a 3-day boat. So that's when we got the Supreme. Frank Lopresti and I, we got that boat. So
Nice.
Yeah.
And that's been 5 years. I can't believe it's been that long.
5 years and a lot of money.
I get it. Well, it seems like you've put in quite a bit of time, quite a bit of money into that boat over the last handful of years, where it seems like every off season you're upgrading something.
Yeah, you have to with a boat like that.
Yeah.
You got to take care of it. So yeah, a lot of we did the galley, the engines, ripped the wheelhouse apart, redid the whole engine room, all the compartments, all the electronics. Yeah, a lot.
It's a really sought after boat too nowadays. I mean, you're lucky if you come across a spot on any trip out there or on the boat.
Yeah, super lucky with that. Very lucky.
Heck yeah. That's awesome. So what, if there's obviously every year is different, what have you been seeing that's been, I guess, most standing out to you that's been different from this year as opposed to years prior with the bluefin and just fishing in general?
I think there's a lot of fish still down below, like out of our range, like a 3-day range, where this time of the year, we're seeing a lot more fish up here. I think we're really fishing like one body of fish up here right now. Mm-hmm. Where in years past, there's multiple bodies. We'll see a batch of fish, like up by Clementi, there'll be a batch of fish. Outside Ensenada, there's multiple batches of fish. This year, it seems like we're fishing one batch of fish from the very start of it.
And they're moving fast, like every day. They're not sticking around in one spot.
Yeah, that's what people want. So you'll have good fishing for 3 days, and then the next day you just won't even see any fish. They'll move 50 miles overnight, So it's really hard to keep track of them. Very, very hard.
Well, I mean, so you mentioned that there's still a lot of fish that have yet to come up the line now.
Yeah.
I mean, do we have any kind of sense as to where they're at now, and we're just kind of waiting for them to come to us?
They're having good fishing down there, just above the ridge. They're having good bluefin fishing mixed in with yellowfin, which that's pretty cool. The guys on 7-day trips, 8-day trips, they're having some phenomenal daytime fishing. So.
Are you ready, or are you wanting the full speed yellowfin tuna bite like late fall, or I guess late summer, early fall, like patty fishing? Do you enjoy that?
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's a nice change, but overall, I think that the sell of our trips are to have a chance at a bluefin tuna, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of time, especially in years past, because when I first had the boat, you could come out of the harbor, you can go down the beach and catch, 15 to 20 pound yellowfin, or you can go west and try to catch 100-pound fish, and almost every time we would go west, you know what I mean? That's just our sell. That's what sells that, that boat right now, where people want.
Yeah.
So, but it's nice every once in a while to mix it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So I don't think you had mentioned this, but a new addition to your fleet is a Pacific Voyager.
Yeah, so we bought Max Newey and Frank and myself. We bought the Pacific Voyager, I think in January this year, which is a really cool boat. It's a mini long range boat. So that's been cool, and he's doing really good. He's catching a lot of fish, and he's doing open party trips too. So it's been cool and fun to watch him do well.
I was gonna say, it seems like he's kicking ass this year and got started pretty early too.
Yeah, that boat, Marco did such a good job. That's who we bought it from. Marco Arnauz. He had an amazing business on that boat. So that boat runs about 240 days a year. So Max we all got very lucky with having a boat that was so well taken care of and such a good business.
Have you known Max for a while?
A long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, a long time since he was like 6.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's young. He's 21 years old.
I was gonna say, like, he's
Yeah.
in his like early 20s.
Yeah, I don't know a kid that young that owns a boat ever.
No.
Good for him. Like, he worked hard. He saved that money up by himself too, so good for him. Nobody helped him. Yeah.
Nice. I mean, that's awesome to hear, where like you just have that young guy that is so motivated financially and all that to get in or get a piece of this industry. It's super cool to hear.
Yeah, it's definitely refreshing to see. Yeah,
And
it's cool.
it's almost like you're paying it forward too, because people gave you a chance to run a business, and you're kind of paying it forward with Max, and he's hopefully gonna follow in your footsteps.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing about, like what you said, about if you really care about this, I think it's helping all the kids get boats, because they're what's going to keep it going, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's the most important thing for sure about this whole thing.
Although, I mean, to be fair, you're not that old yourself either, I don't think.
I'm getting there. I'm 32.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. You're younger than I thought. So no,
Okay.
you're good. You're still young.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. When that's really cool to be young yourself, have someone like a Max kind of follow in your footsteps with another boat, to guide him and all that. I don't really.
Ones, yeah, for sure. And but people don't understand, you can't go to the bank and get a loan for a boat like that. Like me and Max, we can't go to the bank and get a loan like that. Like, Frank's making all this possible for everybody. Like, unless you have family that has money, or you win the lottery, you're not going to get a loan for a boat like that. It's not going to happen. I would never own the Supreme. I'd never own the Pacific Voyager. And I think it's people like Frank who make that possible for us, and they're gonna keep the business going, because if these kids can't get boats, they're gonna go do something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How is it being in business with Frank?
Oh, he's a businessman. He's real smart. He's not a talker. He tells you what he wants to tell you, and
Gives it to you straight.
gives it to you straight. And it's really good. I've learned a lot from him. He's very kind. And I think if somebody is gonna say something bad about him, they didn't work hard or something, they deserved it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever came to them, because he's a very fair guy, and I think a lot of people will say that, and I think a lot of the people in San Diego wouldn't be where they are today without him. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Frank last year was the award recipient of the Beacon Award from our San Diego chapter.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
Good dude, good human being, and all that. He wants to help so many different people. It's crazy. How was it working for the Hansen family? I mean, they're super big supporters of CCA and all that. Just good people.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. They're good people. I worked for them for a long time, so they got to watch me grow up. Mike and Donna and everybody else. A lot of people have been there for a long time. I think Woolie's been there for like 25 years or something, a long time. I think Todd Mancher's worked there for a very long time, on and off,
Yeah.
So I liked it a lot. I definitely learned a lot, yeah.
So I'm not sure if Tony told you, but we have a trip on the Sun Fun on Monday, going after strictly bass. Right now, I'm sure you probably keep tabs with those guys up there and all that. What would you recommend just going bass fishing at a data point this time of year?
Probably some, honestly, I haven't talked to them in a long time. But probably plastics, surface iron, and just fly lining. I think the water's got to be warming up. When I came home yesterday, the water was 67 degrees in Mission Bay Harbor. So it's getting warm,
Yeah.
So.
And it's been really cold this year.
The water?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's been cold. A lot of wind. It gets warm and then it gets cold again. Warm and cold.
What kind of changes have you seen in your many years doing this? What kind of changes have you seen just in the fishery, in basically elements, weather, all that stuff? Anything stick out to you?
I think we fish in more weather now because we're fishing a lot farther west than we ever did earlier in the year. So if you look at 5 years ago, we were fishing just right outside Ensenada. You're pretty much fishing the beach, 20 miles outside Ensenada. You were in some weather too there, but nothing like now. Now we're fishing just, way early in the year. We're fishing just east of Tanner, east of Cortez, west end of Clemente. So you're in the elements more. You know what I mean? There's nowhere to hide.
It's like the better part of almost 150 miles out there.
What are we fishing right now? Like I'd say overall we've been fishing like 70 to 100 miles just straight west of the harbor, northwest. So you're in a lot of weather.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How have you been able to fish the island at all this year?
It's not very good. Like Clemente.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fished there the day before yesterday. I caught one yellowtail.
Sick.
Just to get out of the weather. They're struggling. A lot of those local guys are struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you gotten in on any sea bass this year at all, or just a lot of just bluefin?
Just bluefin, because to catch a sea bass, I think you need to go up to the Channel Islands right now, and for us to go up there on a 3-day trip, you could do it, but your trip's committed to that. You get about 3/4 of a day of fishing, and that's about it. You wouldn't be able to go do that and bluefin.
Yeah.
So.
Have you been able to fish up there in the past in the Channel Islands?
A lot of squid.
Yeah.
A lot of squid, yeah. That's where we caught a lot of squid. All those islands, Rosa, Santa Cruz, Anacapa, the beach right there. So, yeah.
So speaking of, I really want to segue into talking about the light boat because I think that's super rad, and I think a lot of people don't understand what they do and what they are. I feel like a lot of people hear about it, but that's all. It kind of stops there. So walk us through, how did you get started working on the light boat? Were you actively seeking an opportunity there? Did you think that's the direction you were going to go? How did that happen?
So if you work on a sport boat in SoCal, you've always seen the light boats, you know what I mean? You've seen the seiners when you fish Clemente and stuff. So it was always fascinating to me. And it's very lucrative. I'd say it's the most lucrative commercial fishing you can do in SoCal. So a lot of guys from Alaska come down and do it. Washington, they bring their seiners down and do it. So I really wanted to do it. I knew a couple people that did it, and I just kind of reached out, and they actually called me back, and I went up there and saw the boat, and I decided to do it. And you're fishing with a seiner, so it's a team. You got your seiner, who's the catcher boat. You got the light boat, who's lighting the squid. And it's pretty cool. It's a lot of, it's just like bluefin fishing. It's a lot of driving. They're very inconsistent. That's the one thing about them. And when you commercial fish, you're never going back to the dock. You don't have to worry about going back to the dock and dropping your people off. So you could come out of the harbor, you could be fishing Santa Cruz Island, and there could be squid in Monterey, and from right then and there, you're just going right up to Monterey. And I was by myself on the boat, so it's not a Coast Guard licensed boat. You don't need to have another operator, so you're doing a lot of big moves by yourself on the boat. So it's a good learning experience. you're fishing a lot with a sonar, so it's you're really learning how to fish with a sonar, and your paycheck depends on what you catch. It's not like a sport boat where you can go out, give the people good food, give them good customer service, and not catch anything, and still, you know, you can still make money doing that. You make your paycheck, you can make good side money, but if you go on commercial fishing, you have to catch fish to make money. That's just as simple as that. So it's a really good learning experience, I think.
Do many operators and you know, sport boat captains and all that go do like commercial fishing at some point?
Oh, the good ones do.
The good ones?
Yeah, the good ones for sure do. You look at Brian Kiyohara, Randy Toussaint, they're doing it. You got Blake from the Shogun, he's fishing lobster. You know, they're either Marcus from the Neelanese to fish lobster, John from the Islander. So a lot of them, yeah, just to keep yourself, it's just something else. You know, sometimes when you're on a sport boat for a long time, you might get a little burnt out, but you still like fishing. So I think it's a good thing.
It's almost like trying to master a different fishery.
Yeah, it's fun, you know, and if you like fishing, you're gonna like that, you know. So
That's cool, but I think you brought up a good point where it's far more pressure on the commercial guys to actually go and produce rather than sport boat guy. I mean, not saying that the sport boat guys don't want to go catch. I know every single one of them do, but a lot more pressure.
yeah, definitely, yeah. I mean, you're not gonna make any money unless you catch something, you know, and you're paying for fuel. You know, I would pay for fuel on the light boat, so, and you're buying groceries, so it's not just if you can go out for a week and not be like, oh well, we didn't catch anything. It's like, okay, well, you're down a couple grand now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Were you facing pressure from like other light boats and other seiners? Like, were there many of you that would go out, or was it okay? Channel Islands, there's two main guys.
It's a very aggressive fishery. So, like I said, it's the most lucrative fishery in SoCal as far as commercial fishing goes. I think they're getting like $1,400 a ton right now, which is crazy. You know, it's
Wow.
a big money fishery. You got guys from the Alaska guys. They're gnarly too. You know, they're a very cutthroat fishery. So, I mean, yeah, it's very little sleep, and you're always stressed out. And people are always trying to get on each other's toes, you know. So it's a lot. You're fishing. I think there's 55 light boat permits and 55 seiner permits. So it gets crowded. You know, you put that many boats at somewhere like Santa Cruz, or even if you split them up between the Channel Islands, it's still very crowded. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about your boat, man. All the details and, you know, passengers, all that stuff.
Yeah, so we're a limited load long range boat. So when Bill Poole built the boat, he wanted to only take 24 people. So it's 90 feet by 25 feet wide. So it's a big boat. It's not as big as like the Rooster or the Royal Polaris. It's a little bit smaller. And he wanted to just do limited loads. So he built that boat. It has 12 two-man staterooms. So it's 2 passengers per stateroom. You got a sink. You got nice big beds, big closet. It's clean.
Very clean, Chris. Very clean.
Yeah.
I want to go see for myself.
Yeah, you got air conditioned staterooms. There's 3 heads on the boat. You got 1 shower in each hallway downstairs. You got a head up top, and then you're gonna eat good. You got 2 they're pretty good 5-star chefs on the boat. So they're gonna give you 3 meals a day with 2 snacks in between. And yeah, it's nice. It's pretty comfortable. You know, you see a lot of these smaller boats take 30 people. You're 24 people in this big, giant, wide boat. So it's very, very nice. You got a real good crew on the boat. We have a full tackle shop upstairs. If you can come on the boat with no tackle, we'll take care of you. We rent all the equipment. We hold a lot of bait. Your fish get taken care of good. We flood our wells. So a lot of boats spray. You know, they're spraying seawater. We don't do that. We submerge the whole entire well with water, so all your fish are submerged. So you're never going to be sloshing around, you know, getting beat up. So it's a nice it's a cool. If you've never been on a big boat like that, I highly recommend it. It's definitely a little bit more expensive, but everything's included, and I think it's very, very comfortable.
It's probably mainly opinion, but is there any benefit from sloshing the wells rather than just?
I think so.
Yeah.
If you're in chop, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Just in fish care and all that.
Yeah, because I think if you're piling fish up, only some of the fish are going to get the water. If you're spraying, you know what I mean. So if you have let's say half your well's full, I think the top half's only getting the water. You know what I mean. And then you put this much water on the bottoms, and then you're spraying. So what about the middle fish?
Yeah.
So I really think so. I think that's why the long range boats fish come out the best out of all of them. You know.
Mm-hmm. For passengers wanting to get on the boat, what would you suggest is the best opportunity to try and get on the Supreme?
So we're going to put our schedule out for next year this week. So our 2026 schedule will go up, and that'll be a good time to book it. We have a couple openings in December. So I think this year we have 2 5-day trips with openings in December. So you could hop on those trips, where last year we had very, very good fishing. Or you can just wait till this week. We'll put our schedule up, PolarisSupreme.com. You can call Lindsay, 619-706-3634. Or you can call her and just get on a wait list. If you see a trip you want to go on this year and there's no openings, just give her a call. She'll put you on the wait list.
Are there any more, or are there any like charter opportunities left in the schedule, or just?
If you want to get one for next year, not for this year, but if you want to get one for 2026, you want to call Lindsay like today. You want to call her today and see if she has something open. Mm-hmm. She does everything. I don't know too much about that. Frank and Lindsay take care of the charters. Nice. Because I'm on the boat so much.
Yeah.
Did you say when your 2020, what year are we in? 25? Your 2026 calendar is going up?
This week.
This week.
Yeah.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Depending on schedule and availability, and if you're booked or not, Tony, I think we may have to jump on the boat.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a trip availability here. I'm not going to say the date because I want them. So
excellent.
It might be possible in a not so near but near future. Wink, wink.
I like how you think. That's awesome, man. I mean, there is opportunity out there. You just kind of have to find it or get on the wait list and hopefully, cross your fingers.
Yeah. If you call Lindsay and go, because people cancel, it's very normal. So if you call Lindsay and you're like, hey, I want to go on this day in August, she'll put you on the wait list and she'll call you. She does a really good job. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So.
I mean, I've always said it to where, like being a former boat owner myself, where you just have to have that person on the beach no matter what. You can't do it all yourself. Otherwise, you're just bound to fail.
Yeah, Lindsay, it's her full-time job. She works on Monday through Friday, and I think 8 to 5 p.m. So she's you can call her and get a hold of her. She can answer any question you want about anything, really. Mm-hmm. So she helps me a lot.
When you're going on a 3-day trip right now with, hopefully going after bluefin and all that, mm-hmm. What kind of setups have been working tackle-wise?
I'll just tell you what we've been rigging people, what rods I bring downstairs for a seminar. Mm-hmm. So we're bringing 5 rods downstairs. So you're going to have a 40-pound fly line set up if we do see any small fish, which most of the fish we've been catching in the last month are all 100-pound fish. So we just kind of rig up a small fish fly line set up just in case. You got a medium large fish fly line set up. So you're going to fish 60 or 80-pound fluoro, a size 2.0 circle hook, like a Mutu hook, something like in a frame of a Talica 16 reel. And then you're going to have a sinker rig setup. Same thing, your sinker rig setup's going to be heavy, so 80 or 100-pound fluoro, 6 to 10 ounce weight. And then you're going to have 2 nighttime setups, like we talked about the jig. So you're going to have one nighttime setup. I'd start off with a 350-gram jig, and then I'd have another nighttime setup with a 200-gram jig. So that way, if you have 2 rods, it's really easy just to switch rods. You don't have to cut and retie and stuff. So I think 2 rods a night is really the most important thing. And just sleeping during the daytime. We're not catching them in the daytime right now. People need to sleep in the daytime. Don't worry about being up in the daytime, because what's happening is a lot of the times we're seeing really good schools, like the fish really comes together at 2 to 5 a.m. So if you stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning, we're scratching away a little bit, you go to sleep, you miss that, and you're up at daytime again, we're not catching anything again,
I was just about to go into that, to where it's really, really important. So when the guy driving is telling you, hey, catch a nap while you can, do it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what, and it's getting better. Every year is getting better where people are actually listening. But I remember the first couple of years I was on the Pacifica and the Supreme, people would you can't, they're on their program. That's what people don't understand. It's not like you can tell the bluefin, okay, don't bite right now, bite right now, so we're just adjusting to them. They want to bite at nighttime, make sure you sleep in the daytime,
Yeah.
So it's not worth it to miss out at a good stop in the night.
I mean, it goes with anything that the crew says or the captain says, to where it's like, hey, they've been doing this for the last week, the last couple of days. They know what's working, what they're dialed in. Why not take advantage of that knowledge?
Yeah, and trust me, the crew and the captain want to sleep at night. If we could make them bite in the daytime, we would.
With the nighttime fishing so early in the year and all that, are you running like through a crew differently than in years past, or is it pretty much rock solid with almost no turnover?
No, the guys have been there for a long time. They're getting, it's a lot of work. You're up a lot of night, but the crew's actually getting pretty good sleep because they're getting big naps, and we're not catching anything in the daytime, so they're getting a good 7 or 8 hours of sleep a day. And on our boat, we don't cut fish, so we're never cutting fish. So as soon as we're done fishing, we just scrub the boat and we go home. So they're getting a good 7 or 8 hours of sleep, which is way more than I ever got. Yeah.
Times have changed with processing and all that stuff.
Yeah. So they've been there for a lot of those. A couple of them been there with me since I first had the boat.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah,
very cool. When with the lack of, I guess, processing on the boat and all that stuff, I mean, the processors like 5-Star
Mm-hmm.
and others, I mean, they've kind of changed the game for guys like you that are running boats.
Yeah, they do a really good job. Like, I highly recommend it. We can't put a product out on the boat as good as they do in their facility. There's just no way. You get such a nice product. They really take care of it's really nice. I highly recommend it. Like, I'll never cut fish again on the boat because I feel like we just can't do that good of a job, especially with 100-pound fish. It's so clean when you get it from them. It just looks so good. They do all these different cuts, all these different bags. It's highly worth it.
Do you still have to make appointments before your trip and all that stuff? Are they hard to come by this year?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure this year, but I would just in case. Like, if you're going fishing, I'd call your processor, whichever one you want to use are all good, definitely before you go out.
Are all your trips coming back in the mornings like usual?
Yep.
Yeah, that makes it easy.
Yeah, and if you come on our boat, whenever we get in, I already have Mario's, 5-Star, and Fisherman's. They're there waiting.
Yeah. So. How much better is it to run out of Seaforth as opposed to Point Loma?
I like it better because that's where I've always worked. So for me, it's better. I like it. I'm not waiting in line with other boats getting in the morning. I can just get in when I want to get in, which we get in at 5 a.m. And people don't realize how big of a deal that is, because if you're fishing 100 miles and you leave at noon, you're not getting there till 10. You could miss a good stop by that time. But we're Seaforth. My fuel gun's at the dock, so I get in at 5 a.m. I fuel the bait docks right there. I go over, I get bait. We come back, we load our people at 9:45, and we're literally coming out of the harbor at 10 a.m. on our way to wherever we're fishing. So that's really important. I think a lot of people don't understand that. I'm very lucky to be the only boat at Seaforth that's have the schedule of getting in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even thinking back to like being on a full day boat every morning, like San Diego would always be so far ahead of us, and we're just coming out of the point after loading bait like 45 minutes later. It's like those guys had it so good.
Yeah, there's free parking. People don't realize that either.
I know. I was just about to say, from the customer perspective, I
Yeah.
mean, free parking, lots of it too. I mean, you can't beat it.
No. Full tackle shop. There's a restaurant right there. Johnny Money does a really good job. I really like that landing a lot.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to gear and tackle and all that stuff, there's plenty of storage and everything. And even if you're not set up for the big bluefin at night and all that stuff, come on down anyway, and you'll still have the opportunity to rent some stuff from you.
Yeah, rent it from us. If you don't have it, get it from us, because we have exactly what you need. You don't need to get it from a tackle shop or anything. Just get it from us on the boat. We have it on the boat, and it's exactly what you're going to need for what we're doing. So.
And it can supplement to the stuff that you do have, because, quite frankly, it's a big investment for, 100-pound gear and all that stuff. But if you have everything but that, still bring your stuff, but then, fall on, that's a good fallback.
Yeah, you could bring whatever you have, and then we'll fill in the gaps with what we have for you.
Very cool.
And there's not many boats that do that.
No, it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, you can't blame the people. So you can't have an operation. You can't put a 3-day trip online and go out there and be like, oh, it's the people's fault we're not catching anything. They don't have the right tackle. Well, it's your business, to make sure that you have the right tackle for them, because every boat, I don't care how good a fisherman you carry, you're going to have trips where you have people that don't have the right tackle. We carry a lot of beginner people on our boat, lots of beginner people. So you can't blame the people. You got to take care of them. That's your job. That's our job to take care of them.
Yeah. I mean, and it seems like the last handful of years, really the last 10 years or so, the crews, no matter what boat you're on, especially the Supreme and all that, the crews really do take the time and really kind of teach anglers, okay, this is exactly what's been working. And, getting in the galley and just actually paying attention. It seems like it's been far better for the customer perspective to where they're not, I'm sure they're still getting tangled and still getting lost fish, but not as drastic as it used to be, it seems like.
Yeah, I think a lot of people limit the loads now too. Like a lot of people, like you don't see some of these boats used to take 37 people on day and a half trips. You hardly see that anymore. So everybody's been dropping their loads. When you drop your load, the crew can take care of the people better. It's a less group. Tackle's getting better. It's I like the beginners. They listen. A lot of times these guys that think they've been doing it for a long time, they're the ones who don't listen. The beginners are good. I like them.
Beginners?
Yeah.
The beginners and women.
Yeah.
Great,
yeah.
best listeners.
We listen.
Oh man. Any crazy stories from this year so far? Whether it's crazy fish being landed or just goof off stories or anything?
I'm trying to think.
Didn't you guys catch a barba block tagged bluefin?
Oh yeah, we did catch that. That was like 2 weeks ago. Caught a tagged fish. That's the first time I've seen that.
Yeah.
They have 2 tags in them. They got like one on their fin where you can see, and then there's one like in their head, which is crazy for them to get that. We had to gill and gut the fish to get the tag out.
Oh wow.
So that's crazy that they're able to get that tag in there and let it go and still survive.
Did you turn it in?
Yeah, we did.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are you expecting any kind of intel from that fish at all or anything?
They're supposed to tell us the whole thing, its whole cycle since they tagged it. So we're waiting.
How
deep it's been going and stuff. So it'll be really interesting to see what that fish has done.
Are you into that kind of stuff, like the science behind the species and all that?
Yeah, I like it. They're just a real interesting fish. They don't care about cold water. They're all over the place. You catch them in Half Moon Bay. So it's just fascinating to me to see what's going on with them.
Yeah. You've worked with Owen. Now that I'm thinking about it, you've worked with Owen Snodgrass at NOAA, and you've contributed like bluefin stomach contents.
Mm-hmm.
And has he come out with you?
No, he hasn't come out with us, but Ken Frankie had him come down and measure our fish last year in the springtime. They wanted to measure 100-pound fish or bigger.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you see any any issues or problems, or you're always willing to kind of work with the science piece of it and for bluefin or regardless with any species and all that?
No, I don't see any problem with it. I think it's cool to help them out if we can,
Yeah.
They make it easy for us too. Every time we've done something, it's like real. They don't expect anything out of us, like when they measure the fish, they just waited at the top of the dock with the processors and did it there. They didn't try to do it on the boat or anything. So.
Mm-hmm. What's one thing that you would probably want, like on the science side? What would be one thing that, if they could answer any kind of question regarding bluefin and all that, what would be that one question that you'd want to kind of find out about bluefin in general?
When the fleet stops seeing them for a week, where are they at? Yeah. It's really interesting when that happens. You can see a lot of fish and then they'll just disappear like last year. Not this year, but last year in March. We lost track of them for like 3 weeks. I don't know if you remember. It was crazy. Mm-hmm. I want to know where they're at. If they're just down, we're driving over them. They're, 1,000 feet down or what's going on.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Nobody can answer that question for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll keep my ear to the ground. If I found out, I'll let you know.
Yeah. Please.
Yeah. When when it comes to, I guess, the customer customer tips and all that stuff, when someone just rolled the dice, booked a trip on the Supreme and all that, they hardly have any gear other than listening and all that. Like, what kind of advice, what kind of tips could you give them to where, like, what to expect when going out on the Supreme just in general?
It's really real simple. Just come on the boat. We'll take care of you. Just follow your line is what I could say. Follow your line. But other than that, if they're catching them at nighttime, just get a good nap in the daytime so that way you have a chance at catching something. But everything else is super, super simple. We'll take care of your bags for you as soon as you come down the dock. Whatever you need, the crew will help you with. There's 7 of us on the boat, so you got 24 people, 7 crew members. So there's a lot of crew compared to people, but super laid back. I can't say anything too much. Everything's pretty super simple. We make it really easy.
How's your schedule lining up right now with, I'm sure it's a lot of 3-day trips right now, but when do you start getting into the longer trips typically?
So I think our first one is in August, then September, October, November. I think our last one's right after Thanksgiving. We do a 10-day trip. So they're kind of like sprinkled out starting in August throughout our schedule.
I have to ask, how big are your fuel tanks to be able to be out there for 10 days?
So we hold 8,000 gallons of fuel. So we're the sister ship for the.
That's a big bill.
Yeah, yeah. We don't burn that much on a 10-day. We're burning probably on a 10-day trip probably close to 4,000.
Okay.
So yeah, but you always take extra. You don't want to ever leave the dock with not enough fuel. That wouldn't look good.
What kind of, from the crew perspective, what kind of things do you have to go through in terms of planning a trip like that, to where like you got to obviously go call some people and all that, trying to get the dope, but like what other logistics that you have to plan for that most people just don't see?
So it's pretty simple. I'm in a group text with all the other long range guys, so I know what's going on. Like today, I know what's going on at the rocks. Today, I know what's going on at the ridge. So we're on a WhatsApp thing. So I always know what's going on fishing wise. The only other thing would be groceries. We're going to take more groceries on that trip. Mm-hmm. But other than that, everything else is the same. We have all the tackle already on the boat. We might grab a few extra things from the landing and just extra groceries, extra fuel, and that's it. Everything else is the standard. So real simple.
Fascinating.
Have you noticed a difference? Because you put new engines in the off season. So compared to the engines you had before.
We burn more fuel now.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Interesting, huh? We're tier 3 now. We were tiers, we didn't even have a tier before. We were tier 0, I guess.
No kidding.
Yeah, we burn more fuel now.
What?
Just a little bit more. Not much, but definitely a little bit more.
So much for efficiency, I guess.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Yeah, those old mechanical engines were reliable. They were good on fuel. Now we're electronic, where if something happens, you got to plug in a computer.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, that's how everything is now, yeah.
I'm sure the safety's probably still there and all that stuff, but that kind of, it's like a different system when you're switching to digital as opposed to like analog or whatever, just things that just kind of have been working for years and now you're changing it.
Yeah, the boat needed it. Those engines were going to go pretty soon. They were old, 20 years old, but
yeah.
They're quiet. These cats are really nice. They're super quiet. Mm-hmm. We put mufflers in on the boat too, so you can barely hear the engines. So
really?
It's a nice change, yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Well, I've told Tony this and all that stuff, but hopefully sometime this year we'll make it on the boat.
Yeah, you gotta come check it out.
Yeah, for sure. How does that sound?
Well, if you have to pull my leg, Chris, I guess.
Oh, man. Aliyar, this has been great, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
One more time, how do we get in contact with you? Socials, all that good stuff.
So you can go on PolarisSupreme.com. You can call Lindsay 619-706-3634. And then Jeff, he runs our Instagram, so he's pretty on there pretty frequently. So he'll post if we have a cancellation or something. You can check the Instagram too.
Can you shoot him like DMs for like recommendations on tackle?
I think you can. Yeah, he's posting pretty regularly too on it. So
yeah, that's awesome, man. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. Tony, another fascinating guest, fascinating episode.
Another awesome guest.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have you back after your 8-day. You have a Christmas 8-day. That's your last trip of the year.
Oh, the 5-day. Yeah.
5-day.
Yeah.
5-day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'll have a postseason recap.
I was gonna say, come back and we'll talk about the year and all that, and hopefully anything new and exciting coming up in the next couple months or the rest of the year.
No. As far as maintenance and stuff, no, we won't. Everything's gonna be the same.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Maybe a few more days off.
I hope so. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, thank you for listening to the CCA California podcast. Make sure to go like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and we will see you guys next week. Take care.